In this podcast, we will be focusing on attention in the adolescent brain, created by Teresa Lanigan, Rory Donahue, Vanessa Weston, and Abigail Dreca. The first section we will be looking at is attention affects certain areas of the brain. According to the article Inside the Brain, attention is defined as the ability of the brain to selectively concentrate on one aspect of the environment while ignoring other things. There are two main forms of attention that are controlled by two distinct lobes of the brain. The first form of attention focuses primarily on what you would call willful concentration. For example, you would use willful concentration when studying for an exam or writing a term paper. This type of willful concentration is controlled by an area called the prefrontal cortex, which is located directly behind your forehead. The second type of attention is sparked by a sudden event, such as a dropping of a book or a baby's cry. This type of sudden demanding attention is controlled and activated by the parietal cortex, which is located just behind the ear. Research conducted by Massachusetts Institute for Technology neuroscientists have declared that these two regions of the brain sustain concentration when electricity is emitted by neurons at specific rates. On one day, students were tested after a 20-minute resting period. On another day, following a 20-minute walking session, students were showed congruent and incongruent stimuli on a screen and asked to push a button to respond to incongruencies. During the testing, students were outfitted with an electrode cap to measure EEG activity. Nutrition is also a large factor in the growth of the brain to help us stay concentrated during the day. Caffeine and sugar are great ways of keeping us alert and attentive, but overdo on these and you may become grady and distracted. A breakfast is a huge part of your day as it fuels your body and brain for activities ahead. Fish also contains omega-3 and omega-6 to help the brain grow and improve the brain's abilities to concentrate. Sleep is directly responsible for organizing and storing memories during the night. Lack of sleep can affect your daytime functioning, hormonal balance, appetite, and immune system. Next, we will be discussing the negative factors affecting attention. A major factor on attention in the adolescent brain is stress. There has been many relations between stress and the effect it can have on attention in the brain. Studies have shown that stress can kill brain cells and even hold the production of new brain cells. The study performed by Connor Liston and Bruce Usen testing stress rates and control rates showed that in the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for memory and attention of the stress rates, the neurons were shorter and not as branched as the control rates, in which Usen said that it was remarkable that the stress produced almost a large deficit in attention shifting points as lessons. Bullying isn't directly linked to attention, but has a huge effect on the adolescent brain and personalities. Bullying can cause stress, which we already know that can affect the brain in a negative way. Bullying is estimated to over 30% of people in schools. The constant stress of wondering when the next attack can cause students to underachieve in their classwork and may make them miss days of school, which affects their learning outcomes. Attention is notice taken of someone or something, the regarding of someone or something as interesting or important. We all do things now and then that make you question yourself. For instance, walking into a room and immediately forgetting what you need to do. These things happen to the best of us, but when it occurs on a larger scale, it's an issue that shouldn't be taken so lightly. How long can you focus on a task without getting distracted? Your attention span can have a major impact on your performance at work or school and your ability to deal with the tasks of everyday life. One lapse in attention can result in missing out on important information, errors, or worse. If you're someone who adopted digital technology early in life, use social media frequently, or a digital native, chances are that you find it challenging to concentrate for sustained periods of time. You probably have an urge to check your phone when you have nothing better to do. You might find yourself having random thoughts or daydreams in the middle of a school project. This, understandably, has a dramatic negative effect on your overall learning outcomes and academic achievements. One of the biggest factors to human happiness isn't money, it's one's ability to be attentive to the present moment. In other words, how mindful you are at any time. That's what Matt Killingsworth, an expert on happiness studies, suggested in a TED Talk based on his research findings. The research was simple. The more people's minds wandered from what they were doing, the less happy they were. A shorter attention span also means more difficult time building trust within a relationship. A study by the University of Essex revealed if couples try to talk with each other when they're in close proximity to a cell phone, even if they aren't using it, they feel less satisfied with the relationship and less confident in each other's abilities to empathize. According to a group of Stanford researchers, people who struck numerous different lines of electronic information at one time didn't pay attention, control their memory, or switch from one job to another, as well as those who preferred to complete one task at a time. They put 100 students through a series of 3 tests. In one experiment, a series of numbers and letters appeared before them on a screen, and they were given instruction on which to focus on. If it was numbers, then they had to decide whether the numbers were odd or even, and if it was letters, they had to decide whether they were vowels or consonants. The heavy multitaskers underperformed the light multitaskers. The results drawn from this experiment were that the multitaskers couldn't think about the task they were asked to do without getting distracted. The higher multitaskers are always drawing from all the information in front of them. They couldn't keep things separate in their minds. They aren't able to filter out what's not relevant to their current goal. Recent structural MRI studies have demonstrated that the brain undergoes considerable development under adolescence. The brain is social and requires interaction in order to develop properly, while practice is critical to learning for a long term. Studies shown we take more information visually than through any other sense. Some teaching tips to keep in mind while presenting is preparation. Make sure you are organized and well-dressed. It is okay to use humor in the classroom, but make sure you are not sarcastic, as it will distract students, and always make sure that the directions are clear to students. A way to monitor the teen's brain development habits is by reminding them to periodically monitor their behavior to see what they are doing and what they planned. A few things to help a teen study is break down projects into smaller pieces, make reasonable timetable for work, reward them when they are finished with an assignment, and using memory tools and other devices. We all know from our own experiences that a happy student will blossom in the classroom. That is why a healthy, safe classroom environment is important, so that the student can feed off other students' information and grow as a person. Studies shown that happy brain stimulates the growth of nerve connections, improves cognition by increasing productivity, improves our ability to analyze and think, and also increasing imagination towards a task. This includes supporting a student, our child in schools, and making sure they are getting the care that they need for development. Thank you for listening to our podcast, and have a wonderful day.
Best place to find the lovers, so the bar is where I go.
Bravo in inglese,